Hi, everyone. So we are deep into November, and I'm sure everyone is in full swing with their holiday card making. So I thought I would stop by today to share a clean and simple or quick and easy card design to help you get through making all of the Christmas cards that you need to for your loved ones. One of my favorite ways to mass produce Christmas cards is to keep my supplies simple. So that's what we're going to do in this video today. We're going to use the Oh Christmas Bee stamp and die set by Honeybee Stamps. I love the stamp and die set because it just has one simple, large focal image, one sentiment, and then we have this little star that we can use as an embellishment as well. But it kind of gives you everything you need for a clean and simple card design. And then you can spend your time coloring the image, and then you don't have to think too much about what is going on around that focal image. So in this video, we're going to make two cards. We're going to color the focal images in with Copic markers, and then we're going to use pattern paper and some sparkle glitter paper for our background. And these cards are going to come together really, really quick and easily. Another thing that you can do for a background, if you don't have pattern paper, is you can also use a stencil, or you can use some distress inks to make an ink blended background as well. I think those types of backgrounds work really, really well with large focal images like this. But for us, we're going to use some pattern paper from the Holiday Traditions paper pack that was released by Honeybee Stamps as part of their holiday release this year. So let's start by coloring in our little bee on the left. So we're going to make a little boy bee and a little girl bee, and I'm going to show you how to transform the little bee on the right into a girl by adding some eyelashes and a little bit of blush. So let's focus on the coloring for our little boy bee on the left. So I'm using some pretty bright colors for him. So we're going to color in his body with some yellows. And the yellows I'm using are Y11 for the base, and then all the way up to Y18 for our darkest shadow tone. His little bumblebee stripes are going to be colored in cool gray. So we have a base of C3 laid down, and then our shadow colors will be C5 and C7. To make the little Christmas lights that are encircling him a little bit simpler to color, I just stuck with red and green. And I also colored in the little Christmas balls on the side in red and green. The little star on top of his head, we're going to make that appear white. So we're just going to add a little bit of shading along the edges. And I am just going to finish up coloring my little lights in. And if you want to skip the step of adding two colors, you could just add some glossy accents at the end, and that would give your little Christmas lights enough of a pop without having to worry about adding any additional shading. So now I'm just going to go back to shading the little bumblebee's body with some Y18 around the edges, and then some Y15 for our midtone, and then I'm going to get my Y11 out again and just fill in the center parts of the bee with that. I'm going to add my shading to the black areas with C7 and then C5. The little wings on the boy bee are with BG10 and then BG0000 for the little back wings. I thought it would be nice to have two-toned wings on both of our little bees. Just going to finish in the shading here on these stripes. And each of these bees, they probably took me about 10 minutes each to color. This is probably the most time intensive part of the whole card making for these two cards, but I love to color, and I think that one way you could fit this into your mass production mode would be maybe to stamp a bunch of these images and color them in while you're watching TV or while you're watching the new Disney Plus app that I just downloaded the other day. I haven't had a chance to put on any movies, but I'm sure I'll be doing that this week and over the holidays. I am adding some sparkle pen to the wings and to the star and then to the feet. And then I'm going to add some white highlights with a white gel pen to the lights. And again, you don't need to do this step. You could just add some glossy accents over the lights if you wanted them to stand out and not have to fuss with all that highlighting. Now we're going to color in our little girl bee, and I wanted to make her in lighter color, so more pastel shades. So for the base of her body, we're going to use YR30, which is a really nice, I like to think of it like a buttercream color. And then for the shading, we're going to use Y32 just around the edges. And those are going to be the only two colors we're going to use for the yellow parts of our little lady bee. And then for the stripes, I started coloring them in cool gray. And then I thought that warm gray would look much nicer with that kind of beigey eggshell yellow kind of color that's going on with our main body. So I just switched it up to some warm grays, and we're going to use warm gray 2, warm gray 4, and then we had a little ink blot there. I must have filled my markers recently, but we are going to die cut this image out, so we don't need to worry about that stain. It's not going to show up in our final image. So I'm just going to add some highlighting around the edges of the little star on top of the lady bee's head. And then for her Christmas lights, we're going to make them in pink and blue green. Some really pale pastel colors here. Just kind of going along with the overall theme for our lady bee, who is just kind of lighter in color. And the card that we make is going to have lighter tones than the card that we make for the little boy bee. For her wings, I colored them in lavender or blue violet, and then a little bit of red violet for the back wings. The little jingle bells, I'm going to color them, I think, the same way that I colored the bells for little boy. And I'm going to add some sparkles to her wings, and I'm going to focus those sparkles, just dotting them around the edges of the wings. Now I'm adding some eyelashes with a 0.1 multi-liner by Copic, and a little bit of blusher with some R000. And of course, our lady bee needs her eyeshadow and a little highlight in her eye. So I added that in and then drew some little lips on while I was at it and colored them in pink. Now I'm going to take both of our little bees to my die cutting machine and cut them out and then bring them back. And I'm just using some washi tape to secure them while they go through the machine. And here they are, and they're adorable. I think they're the perfect couple. I'm actually sad to be putting them on two separate cards, but I'll try to send them both to the same household so they can continue to be together. And I chose this pattern paper for our lady bee, and this is from the Holiday Traditions pattern paper pack by Honeybee Stamps. And I cut it out with one of the Honeybee Stamps scalloped dies. And we're going to stamp the sentiment right onto our pattern paper with black VersaFine ink. So I'm just setting all that up. This is another trick for clean and simple or quick and easy card making, is just to stamp your sentiment right onto your panel instead of creating a separate panel. And now I'm going to adhere a piece of cardstock behind this panel just to make sure it's nice and strong. I'm going to pop it up on some foam tape. So I wanted to make sure that there's a little bit of strength to the panel. I'm going to add some glitter cardstock to our A2 size card base just to dress it up a little bit, and then some foam tape onto that focal panel. And then we're going to arrange that right in the center of our card base. Just like that. And I just love the little sparkle that the white glitter paper gives to the scene. And that's Tonic Sugar Crystal specialty paper. That's what the white glitter paper is. And now we're going to add a little wobbler. These are action wobblers that you can buy on Amazon. And it's just a fun way to kind of give your card a little bit of playfulness and make it go a little bit extra, I guess, for a clean and simple design. So we just attach a little action wobbler behind our focal image, and then we'll add some glossy accents to the ornaments and the jingle bells and the lights. And then we have our first clean and simple card, or at least I think this is as clean and simple as I can get. I really struggled this week trying to figure out a design that was truly clean and simple. But I think this works. This is clean and simple for me, I guess. And it probably takes about 20 minutes a card to do, which I think is doable. Now I'm just cleaning up those little antennae where I had the little ink bleed before, just adding some little white dots there to dress it up. And there's our little lady bee. I just love how she wobbles back and forth. Now we can move on to our little gentleman bee, and we're going to stamp the sentiment with some red ink onto some white cardstock, and then we're going to cut out the sentiment using the die that's included in the Oh Christmas Bee die set. And I didn't like my first impression, so I'm just stamping it again, see if I could get a better impression. And I like that. I actually think they both look pretty good. And then here is the die that matches the sentiment. This is one of the things I love about honeybee stamps, stamp and die sets. They often will have dies that fit the sentiments perfectly. It's just a nice special touch to add to your cards. And I cut out some black glitter cardstock from Tonic to cover the whole front panel of the card. And then we are going to use this pattern paper from the Holiday Traditions paper pack by Honeybee Stamps. So we're going to pop it up, and that is going to be our focal panel that's going to hold our little bee. And for this one, I didn't add the cardstock behind it. You could do that if you like. I just love these little pine branches. It's going to make the perfect setting for our little boy bee. And we're going to pop our sentiment up as well. So I'm just cutting some thin strips of foam tape here. And I'm going to attach that to the bottom of the card. So a similar design to the one that we did for our lady bee, except we cut our sentiment out on different paper and then we popped it up. So just a couple of different ideas of how to execute this design depending on what you're in the mood for when you're making your own cards. I'm going to put the action wobbler in the center of the card and peel off the backing. And then just attach the bee a little bit on a diagonal, and there he is. So now we have our little gentleman and our lady bee, and they are just adorable. And I think they are going to make the recipients of these Christmas cards very, very happy. So thanks so much for joining me today, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you give these cards a try. They are a lot of fun and definitely not too difficult to execute. Maybe takes about 20 minutes a card, which I think is just the right amount of time to spend on a Christmas card. Have a great day, everyone.